What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about this AR9 build. Now, lately I've been having more fun sourcing guns that are unreliable, need some TLC, and the owner doesn't have the time or the willpower to get it done, and they sell it on the cheap. I come in, get a great deal, and get to put my TISM to work. That's been my thing lately, and I was scrolling through Gun Trader, and I ran into this listing for an hybrid EPC 9 that the owner was getting rid of for super cheap. I ended up having an optic that was laying around, shot him a text, he accepted, traded it, great deal, took it home and went straight to work. Now, I mentioned it was an EPC 9 hybrid. The reason it was hybrid is because it had a P80 lower. I'll put a picture up so you can see exactly what it looked like before. But yeah, it had a P80 lower. It was unreliable, like I mentioned. And the last round bolt hold open mechanism was sketchy. It did not always work. So all in all, it needed some work. Now, the first thing I did was order a EPC 9 lower from Aero. I didn't order it from Aero Precision because their website is a hot mess and you just never know when you're gonna get your stuff. So, and that's no dig at Aero. It's just they gotta get their stuff together. I got it from Brownells, ordered it on a Tuesday, got it in my hands on a Thursday, 2 days. So super happy I did that and I did not go through Aero's website. But the reason I did that was because Aero Precision's EPC 9 platform has the last round bolt hold mechanism in the upper opposed to the lower, and that's pretty much the common thing. That's what the average Aero 9 platform does. It usually has it on the lower, but Aero has it on the upper. So if you have an Aero upper and some other lower, you may have issues with that last round mechanism catching on. So I didn't want to have that issue. So ultimately, if you're building a EPC 9 and you have a lower or a upper, you kind of want to pair them together. You don't want to mix them with any other upper, any other lower. So that's the first thing I did. So got the lower in 2 days, like I said, from Brownells. That was the first thing I did. I ended up also taking all the parts out of the P80 lower itself and just putting it on the Aero lower just to ensure that everything was working properly, and then test for reliability as we went on. I already knew from the jump that I was going to put a Radian 45-degree safety selector on here. I've used those 45-degree ones for so long. It would be super hard to go back to this standard one. So that's swapping out. And I was going to keep these other parts, spray paint them and then put them on back on, but I ended up ordering a lower parts kit from CMMG and I'm gonna throw that in here, paint these, put them away as spares. As you can see, there's no trigger in here as well. I usually put a LaRue MBT trigger on pretty much all. It's like, listen, this trigger is like Frank's hot around here. I put that shit on everything. But for some reason on this build, it's a little finicky. So not doing it on here. I'm in the process of trying to find the right trigger for this platform. I kind of like flat face triggers. So just looking around to see what actually works. I'm going to do a little bit more research. So we'll come back to that in another video. And then I also swapped out the grip. Now, the grip it had on there was a ergo grip. I mean, it's okay. It works. But lately I've been putting these Kung Fu grips to work, and the angle, the comfort, it's like no other. I'm slowly swapping out all my grips for these Kung Fu grips. So went ahead and threw that on there. Did not get the plug, but you know, maybe I will later on. Now, as far as the upper itself, Aero's EPC 9 upper is a pretty good upper in my opinion. Starting from the tip, it has a bird cage on there that's coming off. I'm not really sure what suppressor I'm going to run on here, but this is going to have a dedicated suppressor. Not sure which one I'm using yet, so the muzzle device is up in the air, so we'll also come back to that. As far as the barrel goes, the barrel is pretty good. It's not one of the old Aero barrels where the feed don't know if you can see it. The feed cone area, I guess you can call it, was not the best. This one's much better. Haven't had any feeding issues, and the barrel itself is pretty well made, so no complaints about the barrel. As far as the handguard, I like the handguard, no issues there. Works pretty well, so I'm gonna leave that on there. Went ahead and did a Streamlight ProTac. I like the price. I like the pressure pad that it comes with. I like the strobe, so it's on here. No complaints, it works. Some people may think that it's a little beefy, but it's not super heavy or anything like that. Cable management is okay, just taped it up. Kind of looks good. I actually kind of dig this look, so no complaints there. As far as the flip ups, these are UTG flip ups. I put these on all my builds. It's like Frank's Hot Tail. I put these on pretty much all my builds. They're sleek looking. They're out of the way. I really like them. So that's pretty standard on all my builds. As far as like the charging handle goes, this is a Aero Breach charging handle. It's pretty good and no complaints there. If I end up swapping this out, it will be for a Radian or a Geissele, but so far no complaints. One thing I will say about charging handles and triggers is that when you're working on a AR9 build, you have to be mindful of the platform that you're working on, because some platforms have proprietary parts, or the way their system is built, you're not able to use standard AR-15 parts. For example, some AR9 platforms, you cannot use other charging handles other than their charging handles, or some platforms you can't use other triggers other than their trigger, or maybe one other trigger. I didn't want to have that issue. From my research, the EPC 9 doesn't have that problem. I mean, it has a couple of triggers that may not be compatible, for example the MBT trigger, but it does have a long list of other triggers that are compatible. I just have to pick one that I like best and throw it on here. So I can use standard AR triggers on here. Some platforms you can't, so you just got to be mindful of that. The other thing that was an issue that I had to address was the bolt. Aero uses a two-piece bolt system, which, I mean, I don't know why they would do that. I don't think this is more reliable than the other standard one-piece bolt system, where it's just a plug that goes inside and you unpin it and then take it out. I don't know why they do that, but I don't know. It just, they use that system, so it kind of makes it impossible to use a Law Tactical folder with it, which I already knew from the jump that I wanted a Law folder on here, so this had to go. I am in the process of looking for a one-piece bolt that I can throw on here, so more to come on that, and which will also make the Law Tactical work the way it's supposed to, because if you take this out and you were to throw in the plug like you're supposed to, it's still way shorter. There'll be a gap there. You cannot use this bolt with this platform, so this bolt doesn't work. Not only that, I mean, it's an okay bolt. They sell it for $200 and some, which, you know, it's whatever, but I find that I don't like the way the brass looks after it's, I just didn't like the way the brass looked. Now, I'm not a expert or a gunsmith or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to look like that. So even if it had a one-piece system, I probably would have replaced the bolt for another bolt anyways. I don't know, maybe it's their design. I'm not really sure. If you're familiar with Aero bolts and you know why the brass will, or the shrapnel will be everywhere, it's like, it's weird the way it happened. I can't even describe how it happened, but the brass is not supposed to look like what it looked like when it happened. So gonna find a new bolt. So once the bolt is replaced, I'll be able to use the Law Tactical folder and everything will be good to go. Another thing I looked to replace was if I can fold this here, was the buffer system that was being used. Now, on a lot of standard AR9s, they come with these standard buffers that to me are trash. I usually replace them right away. And this is pretty much the direction I take when I do that. If I'm just doing an all-purpose setup and I'm not really too worried about the recoil or anything like that, I just want an all-purpose reliable setup, I usually go for a standard 7-inch buffer tube, standard mil-spec AR-15 flat wire spring, a 4-inch buffer with reciprocating weights. That helps. The flat wire spring helps keep it quiet, and then the reciprocating weight buffer helps with the having a brain fart moment. But usually 4-inch buffer with reciprocating weights. CAC Industries gold top buffer is a good choice. Pretty much what I usually get when I'm trying to get something like this, and an SB3 brace for the all-purpose setup. As far as the softer shooting setup, if I'm concerned with recoil, I'm going 8.5-inch buffer, same standard flat wire spring. I'm doing a hydraulic buffer with some spacers, SB3 brace, and then we're good to go. Now, due to the fact that I'm running a law folder and we're taking mass out of the bolt when we put the plug in, we will have to play with the weight there to make sure that it is reliable, but I'll do a whole video on that to explain that process. But that's usually the direction I go as far as like the buffer and spring setup. And then, like I mentioned, SB3 brace on both setups, whatever setup I decide to do. But other than that, though, I haven't decided on an optic yet. I'm still waiting for a couple of those to come in to decide which one I want to go with on this. But so far, really digging the look, really liking the way it's coming out. Like I said, I'm having more fun restoring or fixing guns and making them look the way I want to look for a cheaper price than spending all this money on brand new stuff. It's just a lot more stimulating. For the last year, like, I just started this cycle of just buying shit, and like after a while it's just not fulfilling. You'd buy something, pimp it out, put it in the save, redo it all over again, and it was less and less fulfilling. This is a lot more fulfilling, to take something that wasn't working properly, fixing it, making it look good the way you want it, and finding a use for it. So this will be a dedicated home defense setup that is there in case something were to happen if I'm not home. The wife can pick it up, one of the kids can pick it up. It's very user friendly. That's why I like the AR9 platform as a home defense setup. And yeah, really happy with it. Like I mentioned, there's more to come. Suppressor, optic, the bolt stuff with the law tactical stuff. I am gonna go with a softer shooting setup for this, just because, like I mentioned, for the wife and all that, anybody who may decide to use this if they needed. So we are going to run a hydraulic buffer with this setup, so I'll do another video without explaining that setup, so more to come. But so far, looks good. Another thing I will test with this is magazines. I've ordered a ton of magazines to test out, to see what's reliable, what's not reliable, because everybody's experience is different. Like, people love ETS mags, but I ended up getting this ETS mag and a couple other ones. Some of them are cool, some of them are not. Like, whatever finish they have on this one makes it a bitch to like get it out. When it's time to get it out, it like rubs, like it's like almost stuck. So I may have to sand this down or something like that. I'm not really sure. So we'll definitely test out all these magazines and make sure we figure out which ones are reliable and which ones aren't. And I will let you guys know how that works out. So that's pretty much all I had today. This is a work in progress. Just wanted to share that with you guys, and more to come. So any comments, questions, concerns are welcome. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you built an AR9, let me know what you've built, what the parts were in the comment section. Always happy to read that stuff. But other than that, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for the support. Always appreciated. Do something positive, do something great, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Deuces.